Hi guys, welcome to webinar Write a Winning French CV, How to Land Interviews. So we start on time. I'm happy to see you. Some of you will watch this webinar as a replay. So hi to everyone, bonsoir. Some of you here probably because they just started their job search, probably you feel excited and curious because you are about to change your life and move to a country, beautiful country like France. Probably you have some fears, you feel uncertainty because you're navigating the market that you don't know yet, you don't know what to expect. Probably you feel determination and you're ready to overcome the challenges and make your dream come true because we need determination. So you want to be fully ready for this new chapter in your life. You want to make the process smooth and increase your chances. Or probably you already have been struggling for a while because finding an internship and job in France can take months and months, up to 1 year. So, and already probably you feel frustrated, demotivated because you get rejections, as you mentioned in the chat, or probably, which is even worse, like from my opinion, is ghosting when you even don't know whether recruiters got your application or not, because quite often there is silence. Probably you feel anxious and the pressure because visa is expiring, you're running out of money. That was my case 7 years ago. And also when I talk to both students and professionals, actually, no matter how many of years of experience you have, that there is something wrong with you and you are the only one struggling. But the truth is that we are many, and as international candidates, we struggle to position ourselves efficiently on French job market. So probably you want to understand like what you can improve in your CV, why your current CV isn't landing interviews, and how to improve it to secure an internship or job in France. So we'll talk about all of that. But before, for those of you who don't know us yet, very briefly, just that you know our background, we'll present ourselves. So Evgenia, I already know that Evgenia is a global HR, French HR. Could you share a little bit about your background? Because also you used to be international student and candidate many years ago. So please tell us.
Yeah, exactly. Nice to meet all of you today at our webinar. Indeed, as Elena mentioned, I'm originally from Kazakhstan and I moved to France 20 years ago, and I moved to be a student here. So basically, I passed exactly the same schemes that you might know, or being a student, then struggling to find a first job before first good internship, then finding a contract, then having a working visa, and then finally having a CDI. So I understand quite well what you're going through right now, but thanks to many opportunities and also determination, as Alina mentioned, I managed to settle down in France, and I'm living here for 20 years, and I'm acting as HR within International Wine and Spirits Group for 12 years now.
Thank you. So myself, I'm founder of Tell Me Panda. I have been living in Paris for 10 years, so half of way what Evgenia did. Initially, I came here, as many of you, to do my studies at ECP Business School. I completed my internship at Amazon as an analyst and digital marketer, so with some of you will also share the field. I struggled for 1 year to get my first CDI, and probably that's how you also found my blog and my project, because that reel went viral, like with 2 million of views, because it people can relate. But I managed to get Passeport Talent visa for 4 years in France, and then I became a head of growth and marketing in a French educational startup. And that was the time when I started to hire myself. So though I'm not HR, but I was hiring manager, and that time I changed perspective. Actually, I realized what kind of mistakes candidates do when they apply, because I was hiring myself. So the next, like the other part of this barrier. And today, within Tell Me Panda, we are helping students and professionals to get to top business schools and universities, Grande École, and to find internship and job. So why this webinar is crucial for international candidates?
So as you probably feel already due to all the experience that you shared in the chat, it's very important to understand the system. So you might have, as a foreigner, having a great experience back in your country or in various countries, but it doesn't mean that you will land very easily the job in France, because the French CV has its particularities. So that's why it is important to avoid to be rejected, to understand how it works. So French recruiters, they have specific expectations. We will talk about it. You need to understand how to showcase exactly your value on the job market in France. And as we're talking about the French job market, it means different rules. So in Russia, it will be some particular rules. In Colombia, it would be other rules. And naturally, in France, you might have automatic rejections because you don't understand how exactly the local rules work. So that's why we are meeting today to explain you better and to give you better understanding of this topic. And also, you need to understand the local market because you need to use, if you understand, actually, you will be able to use the advantage of this knowledge to land the job interviews, to adapt your CV to the local rules, and it will give you the possibility to have the correct approach and have more opportunities on this market.
So here's the plan for our webinar. It will last about 2 hours, but I think it will last a bit more because when with Evgeny we were checking our slides, actually we prepared lots of information, but I'll be timekeeper, so we'll try to finish on time. But note that there will be a replay and you'll be able to watch it 1 month. You will have it during 1 month. So no worries, but it's better to be online with us because at the end you'll be able to ask your questions. So we'll have a Q&A session. So we'll go through 5 parts. The first part, things you need to know before crafting your CV. So here we'll talk about expectations of French recruiters, ATS system, myths and facts. In part 2, we'll talk about French CV rules and peculiarities of that. Part 3, building a standout CV section by section with all the details and examples will guide you through French CV. Part 4, specific CV situation, as far as you already shared with us some of your struggles and we saw your CVs. So we'll cover all different typical and not typical situations. And at the end of the webinar, we'll share with you some tips beyond the CV. So how to boost your interview chances. If you have some questions while we are sharing, don't hesitate to write them down in the chat, but we'll respond to them at the end of the webinar. So because some of your questions probably you'll find answers like in different parts, and also because we have lots of information to share, so we want to be sure that we deliver everything. And at the end, if you still have some question, we'll of course answer them. Let's start with part 1, things to know before crafting your CV. And I would like to remind you about 5 steps. Those of you who already been to our webinar, How to Land Your Dream Job in France as International Candidate, know that we have this system of 5 steps to make it easy. And like CV is only a part of that. So we'll not deep dive into details of each step because there is a whole webinar on it. But please keep in mind this first, we start with our career plan, projet professionnel in French. It's very important to know your long-term and short-term objective. Step number 2, research the French job market and your industry. So some of details we'll share in this webinar, but like there are much more about like French system. Also, probably you know already a lot about it if you have been living here for some time. Step number 3, based on your career plan and based on your research, you elaborate your job searching strategy. And that's not evident because I know that many candidates, they just randomly apply, they feel desperate and demotivated because they're not getting any answers, but actually they don't have any strategy. And it's very important to have your searching strategy to be sure that you put effort in the right direction, and like 20% of your effort give you like 80% of results and not other way around. And step number 4, once you have all of that, then you optimize your CV, cover letter, and LinkedIn to tailor it to your career plan, to the job market, and to your job searching strategy. And step number 5, like ideally you land interviews and you go through application process. So just to remind you that job search, it's a whole process. It's a project actually. So it's like another full-time job. So in CV is a part of that, but on this webinar we'll be concentrated on CV in details. So you know that the classic job application process look like a funnel. So you have like applications. Out of like 100 applications, probably you'll have like 10 screen interviews, like by phone. Then you have real interviews, case studies, depending on the role, on industry. You can have like 3, 5, sometimes even like 6 interviews. Then you have final one, and ideally you have offer, or it's better to have 2 offers, so you can choose the best and negotiate best conditions. But the goal of a CV is to secure interviews. So at least to get the first telephone interview. So we also keep it in mind that the objective of everything that we do on our CV is to get a call from recruiter. And no matter whether you're applying on the company's website or job search platforms, or recruiter reached you out and asked for a CV, or probably you leverage your network and ask for referrals, and they ask you to send, no matter how you apply, the only objective is to get an interview. And here I'd like to highlight 2 reasons for not getting interviews. So imagine you found a job description, which is really like your dream job description, dream job. Feels like your dream job, and you really feel there is match. In theory, you meet the key requirements for position. But if you know that you have everything, relevant experience, education, skills, but you're not getting interviews, it might be because either you're applying for the wrong position in terms of type of contract, and I see that as far as many internationals, they don't understand French system. Sometimes they apply for internships, though they're not students of French universities, and like legally it's not possible. So that's why you get rejections even if you are ideal candidates. That's important to know. Or your CV is not adapted to French market rules, so you don't speak the same language as French recruiters, or it doesn't contain keywords, because you can talk about the same things, but if you don't use the same keywords, you'll not get through this first screening step. Or your CV doesn't show relevant achievements. So probably you have them, but you just like don't show them in a way so recruiter can say yes. Or your cover letter is absent. In France, it might be important. Or it's very generic and not clear. And I know they like some recruiters or hiring managers, they really pay attention to it. So in this case, the solution would be to check the type of position carefully, to enhance your CV. So that's the purpose of our webinar, and also to work on your cover letter. But here's the second reason why you're not getting interviews. So probably even in theory, you don't meet requirements for position. So for some companies, it might be important that you already have work permit. And some companies, they already write down that like they're not accepting candidates because they're not ready to sponsor your visa. Probably you don't have a French degree, and sometimes it's a huge barrier in France. French diploma really means a lot. Or you don't speak French, or you don't speak like good French fluently, and that might be important. Or you don't have relevant skills, relevant experience, and you don't have working experience in France yet. So in this case, the solution would be not just to work on your CV, but to work on your life. Probably you'll decide to get a local degree to increase your chances. Probably you will work hard on your French to have more opportunities. Probably you will take some additional courses or certifications, or you'll start with internships, even though you already experienced professional, or probably you'll take some freelance projects or volunteer projects to acquire the relevant skills and experience. So this is also like, it looks very simple, but very important to take into consideration that your CV, you can work on the form and you can work on your life. So you have some extra advantages to add to your CV.